Hello and welcome to a new episode of the BAMcast. I'm your host, Baker Shields, and it's my goal to help you to learn, grow, and evolve by any means necessary. Really quick, before we hop into today's episode, I'm going to be doing a subscriber giveaway on YouTube. So if you're subscribed on YouTube, you're eligible to win $100 at the end of the week. Now, if we get over 100 subscribers, I'm going to give away another $100. So if we get to 100 subscriber mark, we're going to give away more. But all you got to do is search Baker Shields on YouTube. There's an old account that's got videos from like years ago. Go to the new one, go to the one with all the Bamcast episodes, and you'll be entered to win. So make sure you do that. And if you're listening on audio platform, make sure you just head on over to YouTube at some point today and subscribe to enter. We've got an awesome episode for you guys today. We've got Dalton Musselwhite, bodybuilder, entrepreneur, as you're going to learn with he's launching a few businesses. He's lost over 300 pounds on his weight loss journey, competed in a bodybuilding show and won it. And he has just been an absolute inspiration to literally millions of people across multiple platforms for the past 3 years since he started his journey. You're going to learn a lot about his surgery and what that process looked like, getting a gastric sleeve. You're going to learn how he lost his 300 pounds and what that journey looked like with all the starts and stops and hurdles that he had to overcome. And then now where he's at as a sponsored athlete, something he never thought he would be, how he shifted his new identity to be who he has become today, and now stepping into a new identity as an entrepreneur as well. It was an absolute blast to get to talk to Dalton. He and I have been friends or acquaintances, I should say, for the past couple of years, and he is a fantastic dude inside and out, so I hope you guys enjoy this episode. The only way the show is going to grow is if you share it with more people. So if there's even a timestamp inside of this episode that you think someone else should hear, please let them know the timestamp, send them the episode so they can get it and maybe get something out of this episode or one of the previous ones as well. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're listening to it on any type of audio platform, make sure you follow the show and leave a review if you get something out of it. Without further ado, guys, let's hop in and talk to Dalton. All right, what's up, Dalton?
What is up, man? How are you?
Got the Rise Fuel. It's bright and early in the morning. I got my electrolytes. That's part of the reason that I was a little bit late, so I apologize for that.
No, man, you're
Um,
good. You gotta
dude,
do what you gotta do. I swear.
exactly. Well, dude, in preparing for this episode, I went so far back on your Instagram that I went back to when it was a car page.
Yeah, okay. The
Tell me
car
about the car
days.
days of
Oh
Mr.
man,
Musselwhite.
that's awesome. No way. Okay, so the car days, man, is like one of my oldest hobbies. I got into it from an early days from watching my brother back in the day. He started building cars, and I was probably like 9 or 10 watching him. He, just graduated high school, and it was back when like Fast and Furious was just starting. It was like the
Yeah,
like 99, 2000 era, so everybody's got a little Honda Civic driving around. So,
yeah,
I just totally fell in love with it, and I was like that 10-year-old that had like a massive ass camera, like a car vent. But yeah, so I fell in love with cars and started doing that. I couldn't really work on them myself. I was a little too big to fit under it, but yeah, man, I enjoyed it so much. We'd travel, we'd go to different car events. But I
I
mean,
saw a
again,
bunch. Yeah, I saw you posted a bunch.
yeah, we used to show it off quite a bit, man. But I used to love doing the car scene for sure. It was fun. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I you mentioned and kind of really, dude, why I think you're such a huge inspiration is you have one of the most insane weight loss stories I have
thank you.
ever encountered.
I appreciate that, man.
And I
Thank you so
believe you and
much.
I met maybe, was it 2021 summer shredding or 2022? It was either
2022 shredding. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and that
Yep.
was that was the summer of 2022 then, and then we kind
Yeah.
of saw each other and talked again that October.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
okay. And so we'll kind of get into the Summer Shredding Classic and all that,
Cool,
but
cool.
just so everybody can kind of put it in perspective, what what was your weight at your heaviest?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the highest weight I ever got up to recorded, and I say recorded like that because at the doctor, the highest weight I ever got up to was 515 pounds. Um, I know that it was higher than that. I'm aiming like probably around 530, 535. I just didn't have a scale big enough at the time to weigh.
Yeah.
So there was that, and then, but I remember like for probably 3 weeks before, I'd scheduled the appointment with the doctor to go get like my official weight. And like I remember just like trying to crash diet to get it as low as possible, so because I
Yeah.
didn't want to be judged. I didn't want the
Yeah.
doctor to be like, "Holy shit, man, you're 600 pounds," because I didn't know how big I was. But yeah, I remember stepping on the scale and it said 515.3, and I was like, ooh, shit. All right.
It's
So, but yeah,
so
that was
crazy,
my highest
man.
recorded weight. So,
That was so crazy. And I've seen I'm gonna throw up some of the transformation pictures. I've seen them a million times. You do a fantastic job on social media of showing kind of like where you came from and everything. Um,
thank you.
but let's talk about that journey, right? Like I know this has kind of been. I've even got a whole section planned out for haters, so maybe we even hop into that right now. But I know that you had surgery, right? What did the
Mhm,
surgery
I
look
did.
like, and what drove, I guess, that decision to take that step?
Yeah, so surgery is kind of like a process to begin surgery. Well, if you don't have the finances, you kind of have to go through insurance or find a different route.
Yeah.
At the time, I was blessed enough to have insurance, and so I was able to use my insurance. But yeah, so I remember like talking with my insurance company, and they're like, "All right, we got to do this, 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 this," and I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. I'll do it. I need to change my life." But like I remember kind of like a driving factor is we went to New Orleans at the time I was married, and I was literally trying to like go. It was like a Thursday evening. We just got there and we started moving around. Friday, like went to like dinner or whatever. Friday, we're like hitting the day on the town, And man, I remember like at the beginning, at the time I was like, yeah, let's go to this event, and it was like maybe zero point 0.8 miles away, and I'm like, okay, Uber, all right. I'm not.
Yeah.
At the time in my head, my thought process is my big ass ain't walking, zero point 0.8 miles. I'll die
Yeah.
if I do that.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I Ubered. But I Ubered every single day or every single time, like while I was in New Orleans. And so, I'll never forget it, man. I'm sitting there on Bourbon Street outside of our hotel, and I ordered the Uber, and it was like zero point 0.1 mile away. Like I could have walked, honestly, but
Hmm.
I made this lady wait 20 minutes to actually like pick us up because at night Bourbon Street is loaded. But
Yeah.
I made her wait 20 minutes, and I'll never forget it. I got in, and she's like, "Are you?" She looked at me, "Are you fucking kidding? Like you made me wait 20 minutes to take you less than 50 steps, like a point one, like tenth of a mile." And like I remember I was on the right side of the van, my wife's on the left side, and like I remember just like it was kind of like a wake up, just like holy shit, like your Uber. It took your Uber driver to call you out, but I remember sitting here like because at the time my belly hung between my legs. It was so big. So man, I'm
Yeah.
spread out, just like this, barely fitting in a van. Hearing an Uber driver tell me like, you can't literally walk a tenth of a mile, man. Like wake the fuck up, So
Yeah.
I remember getting to the restaurant and like just being so like frustrated, but like just mad, like mad that I let myself get there, but also mad that I let an Uber driver call me out like that. And like I remember just not even eating. Like it was one of those things where we just like got up and left. It kind of ruined the night for me. But I got back to Pensacola and I was like, okay, I got to make a change. And some other things kind of lined up with that. So I ended up talking to my doctor and I was like, hey, like, you've told me for the last 15 years it's quote unquote baby fat, and this baby fat, I'm a 25-year-old man now, it's not baby fat
Yeah.
anymore. It's there.
Yeah.
I'm 500 pounds. So um, he started the process. He's like, okay, we're gonna get your referral. So we started the referral process. I think I was around 23 or 24 when it all happened because I actually did a whole process, and a lot of people don't know this. I actually did a whole process with a surgeon's office before, and like I ended up meeting the surgeon, and like he just didn't have good bedside manner. As a bigger person, I didn't like being touched. I still don't like being touched to this day.
Yeah.
But he reached out. I'll never forget it. My first consultation, man, he reached out and poked my belly. Like my belly's just sitting there. And he's like, "We're gonna get rid of that." And I was like, "Not by doing that, you're not." And I stood up and walked out. I was like, "Yeah, no, not happening."
Bro.
He's like the best surgeon in this area, and it just completely ruined it, man. I was like, how, like, as someone who helps people, that's such a sensitive area, especially
The
for a
level
dude
of
hung up.
yeah, the level of insensitivity
Yeah,
of
man. I'm
that
just like,
moment. That's
what
insane.
the fuck? I raged, man. I left. And that same day, I called Baptist Healthcare here in Pensacola. I was like, "Do you guys like have a surgeon's office?" And they're like, actually, yeah. It turned out to be the guy's partner that I ended up working with, the original surgeon. But yeah, Dr. G helped me out, man. I started the process with him, and you have to go through quite a bit. Like they had to measure my thyroid levels. I had to do studies on my heart. I had to do a sleep test. And it ended up taking almost a year for me to get like qualified for surgery. I had to do like a 6 month diet process, even though I did it with the other doctor, insurance wouldn't accept it. So they're like, sorry, you got to do it with Dr. G. So I had to do a whole another 6 month process. And then I did the 6 month process, but like we were waiting on my thyroid. My thyroid levels were just up the roof, and like, I mean, they ended up putting me on medication to get them down. Couldn't get it. Finally, it was like mid, what, I think March is when I took my last blood work with them, and they're like, all right, we're at a 4.4, I think, or something, which is like TH. I'm gonna mix this the levels. I think it's like THS or
Hey,
TSH levels or whatever.
I don't know any better, so you can say whatever you want
Yeah,
to say to
yeah.
me.
It's your levels that they monitor to make sure that your thyroid's working properly,
Gotcha.
basically.
Okay.
So mine was way too high, and then I finally got it under the 5 level threshold that insurance sets. And so, um, Vivian, the girl, the insurance, or the lady at the surgeon's office, she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna let you know, like, we got your thyroid, it's there, but you're still gonna have to, wait. We're gonna have to submit this now for the final approval for insurance, and then we can set a surgery date. So, it's probably gonna take like a month or so to hear back." And I'm thinking, yeah, why not? We've only waited 9, 10 more months. But
Yeah.
that was a Thursday. Friday morning, she called me back and she's like, "Hey, just let you know, insurance approved it right away. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, they're ready. Do you want to be here Monday to have surgery?" And like, if that's way too rushed. I'm a freak of like worrying of
Yeah.
overthinking everything, and I'm like, oh my god, that's not enough time. Like, I heard you got to shrink your liver and all this. So I was like, plus, I low-key want to go eat again one good time. So I didn't even get to do that, sadly. But yeah, I planned my surgery out 2 weeks later. But because of that, they make you take a 2-week, like, basically a liquid diet to shrink your liver, just to make sure you're safe for surgery. But yeah, I'll never forget it. April 8th, 2019, I was laying there. I got there at like 7 a.m. They didn't have a gown big enough to fit me, so I had like 2 gowns on at the time. Um, Swallowing the bed, man. I was filling that bed up. And
Yeah.
yeah, remember I'd found a post on Instagram, and I didn't know people talked about weight loss on Instagram like this. I didn't realize that until I searched VSG, the surgery I was having. And I don't even remember the girl's page. I think I may still follow her, but I saw her hashtags, and I took a screenshot of the hashtags and was like, fuck it, all right, why not? Copied them, saved them, and literally, man, from that point on, I made a post. I was like, all right, this is my journey. I'm not going back. This is kind of like my last shot, my last chance. Like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna die. So why not?
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I ended up
with that surgery,
hitting it.
what exactly did they do? It was a gastric bypass, right?
No, so there are two different versions. You have gastric bypass and gastric sleeve. The
Okay.
gastric bypass is more just kind of invasive.
Got
You
it.
have to be on medication the rest of your life. You do have more weight loss with that. I was supposed to have the gastric bypass, but I had the sleeve first to get the first, like, as he said, 150, 180 pounds down. And then, after that, like he said, we'd look at getting the second surgery to get the rest of the weight off. But
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I was like, dude, fuck that. It was a lot of pain. I did not want to go through that again. And like, just hearing a lot of complications of R&Y, or gastric bypass, I had the
Yeah.
sleeve. So it just cut out 85% of your stomach, make it like a little small pouch. And it restricts your eating if you overeat. You're pooping your brains out. You're
Hmm.
getting sweaty. I mean, just, it's miserable. But it
Yeah.
works. It definitely, definitely works. So
Wow. That's
yeah.
great. So you get surgery. What's the recovery time on that?
So it's about 3 days roughly. It's a very
Okay.
like minimal surgery when they do it. Like, they pump you up full of air. So the first thing that I always tell people when they message me like, what is the first thing I need to do? I'm in pain. Stand up. Literally stand up. I didn't realize that, man. And like, when I say the gas pains, dude, it feels like someone's just stabbing you over and over and over. But the thing is you just have to stand up and cause that, because they pumped you full of air. Just, I mean, I look like
Hmm.
a balloon, and that's just so they can move around laparoscopically with all the tools, and cut it
Got
out.
it.
But you have like 5 little holes. Like, you can't even see the holes on my skin anymore. They're like, the scars aren't even there. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, it was a cool process. It was very quick as far as I remember. But I took a month off because it was yet the healing process was there, but the healing process up here wasn't there yet. So
Yeah.
I took a month off because I knew, man, like, working at a contact center for 8 hours a day at the time, sitting there, I would just be slamming Dr. Peppers and food all day just to get me through the day. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a month off, and I truly, truly, truly think that's what really helped me set a stone of like, okay, this is how I have to do it, and that's what helped me be successful.
Got it. So you got the surgery, right? That was 2019. I heard you say. and
Yeah.
then you're hitting the ground running for your transformation, or did you have some drawbacks? Like I guess so. One thing that I'm really interested in is like how did you go about that identity shift? You talked about
Yeah.
being the big guy, being the guy that's not gonna walk anywhere, that's gonna
Yeah.
Uber if it's anywhere over a couple steps, right? Like you talked about just even wanting to eat one last time. That's
Mhm.
I feel like that old identity too. And
Yep.
so, how did you go about? You've had surgery. You woke up. You saw the Instagram with all the hashtags and everything.
Yeah.
And how did you shift your identity into this is who I'm going to be now?
Man, for me, it was something that I used like social media as a form of accountability. And so like a lot of people think that when they have surgery, their mindset's instantly fixed, and it's not, man. When I came out of surgery, you can ask any of my friends, my family, like I immediately thought I fucked up. I thought I made the worst decision of my life. I reached the lowest. Yeah, yeah, because like I at the time, and the reason why is I was still identifying as my old self.
Yeah, yeah,
And so, dude, I come out of surgery just like 99% of people, and they're like, "All right, I got it done. All right, so what's it gonna do for me?" Instead of thinking, "What am I gonna do to make my tool work?"
yeah. You're
That's the
yeah you're
mindset that no
thinking
one
like I just
takes.
took the magic pill. Like when's the weight gonna start falling off? Type of thing. Yep.
Yep, that's exactly, and that's why I hate to say it. That's why surgery is viewed as like a easy way out, is because people take that mindset of, all right,
That makes
I'm gonna
sense.
let it work for me for and that's why you see 18 months out, you see all the regain, man. Like because people don't actually have the mindset change, and that's what's
Hmm.
key. I didn't realize, man, I had a food addiction until after I had surgery. So when I say I reached low lows of depression, I reached some low lows because I correlated my entire existence around food.
Hmm.
Hanging out with friends, we got to go get food. I mean, you saw it in the car pictures, man.
Yeah.
Even then, like, what would we do? We go to a car event, and then we take the car event to a restaurant so I could eat.
Yep.
Like, and I mean, that was everything I did. If I watched TV, I had to have food. If I went to the movies, I had to have popcorn. If I went to the mall, I had to have a drink. Had to have a snack. Like, and I didn't even know like how I was just literally okay. I got to have something in my hand. Got to have something in my hand. Like, so yeah, I felt super super depressed. I was like, oh my god, I'm never gonna be able to eat again because I think it's like a scare tactic, honestly, that surgeons use. It's like you're never gonna be able to do this again. That's bullshit. You can, but they don't want you to because it can enforce those bad habits coming back. So they tell you
Yeah.
like you'll never be able to have a soda again. I was drinking carbonation 3 months out.
Hmm.
It's just again, it's about the relationship. So I think it's his mindset, man, is trying to figure it out and find that mindset and find the healthy replacements. That was the hardest part for me, finding things that take up my time. I think that's why I clung to the gym so hard.
Yeah.
Was because I used like and I don't want to say addiction, but there's a big term in the community. It's called transfer addiction. It's when you take your addiction to food and you transfer it to something else. And like a lot
Wow.
of times you see it like you transfer it to shopping, and I hope it's okay to say it, drugs, sex,
Hmm.
porn, um, other things, other avenues. I
Yeah.
mean, it can go downhill. So for me, like I was like, okay, I don't want to really fuck myself over that bad. I need to, lock in and,
You want to channel this
um,
into something healthy.
yeah, and somehow, man, I was like, I ended up going to the gym, and what it was, I think, honestly, is just those, and I can't even think of the word right now to come back to me, endorphins. You
Hmm.
get the same endorphins when you get done with completing a workout that you do when you're slamming down food, or winning a lottery or gambling or anything like that. It's you're like I need more. You feel great, but and I think that's what really helps me lock in and start going. So an earlier time, I'd say.
That's insane. So you're you start your kind of like journey after that. You use the term transfer addiction. You transfer your addiction into the gym.
Yeah.
You're walking in the gym as this 500-pound guy still. I'm assuming. And
So actually, so let me clarify. I
okay,
want to make sure people know I lost like 220 pounds without ever stepping foot in a gym. I never
really,
went to for my first 2 years, man. Because I had something happen. In like Planet Fitness here in Pensacola. What do
mm,
they know for? The cardio, right? Well, where are you gonna go to do cardio? Because I didn't know how to weight train at being big. So I got on a treadmill at Pensacola Planet Fitness here in Pensacola, And treadmills are not rated for people that's over 500 pounds. People
Hmm.
don't realize that, and they think, and that's why I get so frustrated when I hear somebody's like, "Oh, well, you could have walked on a treadmill." Find one. Find one that will hold me at 515 pounds without it breaking, sticking, or flipping, and I will kiss your ass. And I said that
Hmm.
multiple times. Like, so for me, embarrassing moment, I almost flipped a treadmill at Planet Fitness here in Pensacola. The rubber, when it's going on the bottom, like you know how you've got your treadmill, the part that slides,
Yeah.
dude, when you are that heavy stepping down on it, it sticks. So as you're each step, you're lunching like as you're taking a step forward almost. It's not like sliding
Yeah.
back if that makes sense. So, dude, I'm telling you, I literally about flipped the treadmill at because I mean I
Wow.
fell forward on it and think 500 pounds, that much weight going on a treadmill, dude, it's like teeter tottering. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
So that kind of like traumatized you, you're saying, from going back for a while.
it did. So like I wouldn't even step foot in a gym, man. So like I didn't start in the gym either. That when I first started in the fitness side of things, like I started doing push-ups in my room and sit-ups, and then I didn't even have weights. I remember having bowling balls at my grandparents' house and taking bowling balls, man. Just like, all right, I know this is a 16-pound bowling ball. Well, fuck it. So like getting on the side of my bed and just doing this, for 30 minutes, just not knowing what to do, but you know what? At least it was moving. And
Wow.
that's it. Kind of helped me. Like, okay, well, then I started walking around my neighborhood, and then I started like doing jumping jacks outside. At one point, I remember taking a yoga mat, and I had a car, a BMW. I remember like putting the yoga mat up to my car, and my car was lowered. I remember putting my feet underneath it, and like you know how you when you do a sit up, like your feet will come up. At the
Yep.
time, I had no control, but like so, I put my feet underneath my car to keep it from coming up. And dude, I remember just literally doing sit ups using my car outside in the middle of the street. But it worked. It
Yeah.
worked. It helps me, and um, yeah, I know my neighbors had to think I was batshit crazy, like here's
Yeah.
this dude shirtless out here in the middle of the road using his car to do sit-ups, but yeah, man, I just kind of used that and like slowly started building confidence and slowly started walking around more and jogging around my neighborhood, and then I remember the first time ever jogging outside of my neighborhood. That was crazy to me. I was like, oh my god, like this, can I do this? Like what am I gonna make it? But
Yeah.
just my old self, coming in thinking, no, you're not. You're gonna fail. You can't walk that far. But no, I did. And I started doing it, man. I loved it. So
That's
yeah,
so wild. So you were doing a bunch of basically all the workouts that we did during pandemics, right? Like you were doing those before the pandemic even hit. And you
yeah, yeah,
probably
yeah.
carried that into the pandemic, right? Because
I
2019,
did. Yeah,
2020.
exactly. And that's what happened. I mean, that's what kind of. I mean, I was working from home, didn't have nothing to do, other than play video games or smoke at the time, and I didn't really let people know I did that. So it's like, okay, I've got to find something to do. So yeah, that was kind of the way I got started, was during the pandemic. I worked from home, and I would take my hour lunch, and on that hour lunch I'd text my coworker and be like, all right, hey Loomis, I'm going out, I'll be right back. And she knew, she was cool, she's like, just go, you got time, you get your work done. So yeah, man, I'd go out there and do that for 30 minutes. I'd haul ass to Planet Fitness when I started finally, excuse me, going to the gym, and I would just do core and cardio every day for like 45 minutes to an hour, and then come back home. And then at night, that's when I'd start to go lift when I did start lifting. So, but
Wow.
yeah, definitely pandemic helped me get here. I will say that. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny because it did a lot of bad things to a lot of people, but it also did a lot of good
yeah,
things to a lot of people too. And everyone kind of has their. It'll be interesting to see as we like our whole generation kind of like gets older and older
yeah,
what all the longer lasting effects are for us, because we were
yeah,
older whenever it hit, but also for all the kids. I always think about like all the kids that went through the pandemic, whether they were in grade school or whether they were,
exactly.
just getting to college. Because I was in my late junior and then the remainder of my senior year
Yeah.
of college. So that kind of like shut down the end
Oh
of my
wow.
college
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
But I knew I had a lot of friends that had just gotten to college, and so like their first 2 years of college were not college, right? Like they were just at home still. It was extended high school basically.
Literally, yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you I have to ask because I know you said did you get to walk at least? Because I had a lot of friends that like, dude, they canceled their graduations. They're just like,
Yeah,
hey, you graduated,
we
good luck.
yeah, no, we did. So whenever I was supposed to graduate which I did graduate a semester early,
Nice,
and that
nice.
was like the pandemic like class or whatever. So
Ah, nice.
the our graduation, like we got called in, like I think it was by last name. So like I went to a huge school at University of Oklahoma, and so like it was like
Nice,
half
nice.
the
Okay.
S's, right, got called
Yeah.
in on like a certain day, and they spread this out over the entire semester, and
No
we would
way.
get like they would give all of us like they made us pay because I remember thinking it was the stupidest thing ever. They made us pay for this gown for our gown. And I'm like, okay, like that I guess that makes sense. And so they run us through this whole like checkout line, and they're you buy a gown, and you can buy your ring if you want to buy your ring, and you can buy your hat, and your like all your you have to even buy I think like your things that you
Yeah.
earned. I can't
Yeah,
remember what
your
they're called, the
chords.
cords and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so we get to the end of that, and then they're like, they've got a huge, like, nice camera set up, and
No
they have
way.
us like put it on, and I had no
Yeah.
clue we were walking that day, so I was in like sneakers and like either shorts or jeans, and like
No.
not dressed up
Yeah.
at all. I was like, my mom's gonna be pissed.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah. Mom wants her
we
pictures. Oh no.
exactly. So we get up in front of they have us like take like a high quality picture for like our headshot for the school or whatever, and then
Yeah.
they have us just like they act like they're calling our names. So there's like a fake announcer there, and they're like, Baker Shields, entrepreneurship, and like that was my degree and everything.
No
And
way.
so I like walk across, and then they tell us to stop and like point at the camera for a second. And so
Yeah.
I didn't even tell my
No.
mom that that's what happened.
Oh my
But
God. No way.
yeah, on graduation day, it was actually the first time that my parents met my now wife.
Yeah.
But they like came up from my mom was like, "Do we really need to be there?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm graduating. Like, I know this isn't like the best way to do this, but like, come on, come watch
Yeah,
this thing." I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
so they created like it was like a live stream basically, where you watch like a 15-minute speech from like the president of the university, and then you had to go to this website and like click on your name, and it would play like your video of you walking. And
No
so,
way. That was it?
yeah,
Oh my
so it was
word.
literally they drove all the way to Oklahoma, like or Norman, from where we grew up, and then they get there, and it's like a 10-minute speech, 15-minute speech. They brought a bunch of like snacks and everything because they thought there was gonna be a lot of people there. I only had like them two and my wife, um, and then we just click and watch me just walk across an imaginary stage, and I'm in sneakers and jeans. My mom's like, "Are you kidding me, Baker?" I was like, "I didn't know what any of this was. No one told me how to navigate a pandemic and graduate." So, but yeah, it was a really weird experience.
That's crazy. No way. So I had a few friends that did they graduated, but they didn't even let them walk. They were just like, "Hey, you
Yeah,
graduated, so sorry we haven't figured this out yet." And they were a major college, and it's just like,
yeah,
well, this
that
is one time I'm not too mad I didn't go. So,
for sure, for sure.
but
So,
man,
one cool thing that they did do, so like all my friends graduated like the next semester. So the next semester, they actually invited all of us from the
oh,
early
that's
semester.
cool.
They invited all of us to be able to walk. So it was cool for me because I didn't have to pay for an extra semester. I could still graduate early, but I got to walk
Yeah,
with all my friends.
that is
So
cool. That works.
so I
Yeah,
did like a real actual walk. So I made my parents come back again to get the actual
you're like, "Where are we
experience. So I
doing
was
this,
dressed
mom?"
up. Yeah, I was dressed up that time. Um, but no,
That's
it
awesome
was a
though.
wild experience, and I think a lot about that with
Yeah,
how
COVID.
we kind of just shut down out of nowhere. But the
Yeah.
reason that one of the biggest things that I think the pandemic did for me or changed about my life was you talked about like surgeons and meeting like a not so great one. So
Yeah.
I had my knee surgery. I think you and I have talked about it.
Yeah.
They basically gave me two options of my knee surgery, and this is not even near on the same level as the stuff that you are doing, so I'm not trying to compare it, but
No,
it's
no,
just kind of
you're
like
good, man.
a lateral story, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so I had the guy that did my knee surgery. I went in for like the initial consult and everything, and he's like, "Hey, we could do these two things. Like one of them, we could take out some cartilage, reconstruct or take your knee apart, put the cartilage back in to like
Oof.
basically cover this huge divot that you now have,
Yeah.
and then rebuild your knee, and then you're going to be down for 9 to 12 months, and then you can like start to learn to walk again. Or you can do this other surgery that would take 8 weeks of recovery, and we're going to drill a bunch of holes in your knee and try to, they call it microfracturing, and try to just flood the area with blood to heal it." And I'm like, okay, I think that I
Holy
would
hell.
rather try they gave me they're like, this
Yeah.
one's going to be 96%, the long-term one, or this one's going to be like 84%. So it's up to
Yeah.
you. Um, chance of I guess working. So I chose the shorter term one, and the surgery didn't work.
Oh
But
shit.
I remember being so struck by, because that was the fall before the pandemic. I
Yeah.
remember being so struck by, like, I came back for like my 5 week post op, right? And I walk in, and the doctor is acting like it was very evident he had no idea who I was.
Oh
Like
no. Yeah.
we had met, he did the surgery on me, and it was very evident
No
that like
clue.
he was trying to read and remember things off of his notes, and he was like, "So we're about 2 weeks post op, right? We're coming up on you. You can probably start to lose one crutch, right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually at 5 weeks, almost six, which is when you told me that I wasn't gonna be on crutches." And he was like, "Oh, cool, cool, yeah, we can probably get rid of the crutches then."
No
And he just was
way.
like, and I was like, "This is the dude." So he's
Yeah.
talking to me about this next surgery already. He's like trying to sell me on like, now you need the big one.
Yeah.
Which surgery failed. It didn't work. Like nothing. Like
Yeah.
I was one of the 16%, I guess. But
Holy
my
shit.
next surgery got scheduled begrudgingly with the same doctor for March, I think it was 11th of 2020.
Okay.
And so I was supposed to have that surgery, and insurance, like 5 days out from the surgery, insurance was like, "Hey, we're not sure if this is super necessary. We don't know if we want to cover this." And so the doctors had to submit another, like, "Hey, this is why it's necessary. This is what he does as
Yeah.
a living. This is what, it's holding him back from living like his life in all these different
His life.
ways."
Yeah.
And it got approved, and then the date got moved back a week to March like 17th or 18th.
No
And
way.
I don't know if you remember, but the world shut down
Yeah.
like March
Like
13th.
right. Yeah. Literally right then. No
Yeah,
way. So
so
you didn't
2
get
days
it?
before the world shut down,
Oh,
I would have
okay.
had my surgery, and then I would have been in a fantastic spot because nobody could do anything
Yeah.
for a year.
Exactly.
So I would have just been able to chill and recover. But instead, I didn't
Oh
get to have my
my
surgery at all because they canceled all non-elective surgeries that weren't like
Yeah.
life-threatening. And yeah, so I still haven't had surgery on my knee, and so I have to train those in a really weird
Holy
way. But
shit.
the pandemic
Ooh.
completely shut down my entire like plan there.
See that's terrifying, man. Like, oh my word. But I feel the pain of going through surgeons and like it not working. I mean, I had surgery in 2020 too, so I had
Yeah,
April 8th, 2019, and then October of 2020 is when I had my skin surgery. Um, but it was kind of those things. It was A, looking for a surgeon, B, trying to find somebody that wanted to do it. The pandemic was happening. So I found somebody local that I just jumped. They're like, "Oh yeah, we can help you out a little bit," and I jumped, and man, I woke up and it was kind of like you said, it didn't work. That was me. It's like
yeah,
what I paid for didn't work, and I'm like, what the hell? And then,
yeah.
like you said, he tried the next thing, tried to sell me a surgery. He's like, "Oh well, come back," and I was like, "Come back? I'm trying not to beat your ass in the middle of this office right now. What do you mean come back? Like,
Yeah.
the only I'm gonna come back." Never. But yeah, so
No,
I
it's
feel that, man. That's
it's
that's crazy.
demoralizing because quite literally putting your life in these people's hands,
Yeah.
and then to think that like you're just another number, you're just like another whatever they get paid per surgery.
Another check.
You're
Yeah.
yeah, you're somebody else in this just like revolving door of just trying to get as many people in and out as
I hate
quickly
that.
as possible.
I literally
Um,
hate that motto or that
yeah,
that that business model. So
it's terrible. It's terrible. But let's get back to you. Let's talk
yeah, no,
about
you're
your,
good.
losing the. Sorry about that.
No,
Let's
I,
talk
I
about
like to I like to relate like that. That helps me. So thank you. So
yeah, for sure. The How many times did you? This is a question that I wrote down. How many times did you start and stop your journey? Do you feel like? Because it couldn't
for
have all been smooth sailing. Like
no.
what did that
Um
look like for you?
I mean all my life, man. Like literally I'm thinking back, but like I failed since I was 5 years old.
Wow.
And I mean it was and I'm getting goosebumps when I say that because I it's kind of emotional when you think about it, but like I went to pediatricians. I remember like specifically, you know how like as a kid you can remember certain things and certain
Yes.
details. For me, man, I remember being like 5 or 6 years old. My grandparents and mom and dad like having kind of like an argument because I was adopted by my grandparents, but yet my mom and dad are still my life. My grandparents love me but spoiled me, and they're like, "All right, we love you, but we want to give you all the food in the world, but yet we still want to see you healthy." My mom and dad are like, "Yo, he's fat. We need to do something." So I remember going to a pediatrician at like five, 6 years old. And him looking at me, he's like, "All right, Dalton, like we're not gonna have any cheeseburgers, because cheeseburgers are bad." And he breaks out this little
Mhm.
pyramid. And I remember, dude, I'm 5, 6 years old, and I remember leaving there and being like, not actually saying it, but in my head thinking like, "What the fuck? Like, is this for real? Like, am I that big?" But it didn't correlate. It didn't. It nothing to actually like. I thought later on like, oh, I'm 5 years old. I'll get it under control. I shouldn't even be thinking about that at 5 years old, honestly, but I was.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, my parents definitely helped me. Or tried to help me, and so it started out young. Failed attempt. Like 12 years old, 13 years old. There's a organization here in town. It was called Physicians Weight Loss. So under their rules, man, like the policy rules is you had to be 18 years or older to like help a person like that with weight loss. So like I remember my grandfather signing up to help me. Sorry, my dog's coming up on me right now. My grandfather signed himself up, and then he ended up basically like they would work on me instead of him, and like he would be in the room. So like instead of him getting the B12 shots that it was for him, they would give them to me instead. So yeah, so long story short, they would sign him up and like work on me and be like, all right, so next week, and they would just it was like vitamins and minerals, and they'd sell you like these little packets of food. And so like I remember
Yeah.
going to like middle school with my physician's weight loss branded stuff, like trying to lose weight, and like I think I got like 30 pounds down in like 3 months. But I failed, because I just didn't know what the hell I was doing, and didn't understand that it's not a diet, it's a change. You have to actually change completely for it to work. So like, yeah, I'm good for, you know, 7 days straight, but then 7 day, day eight, I'm like, all right, pizza, cheeseburgers, and nachos. Let's fucking go. So I would just overeat and binge and binge and binge, and that was my comfort. That was my joy. That was my
Yeah.
world. And so I failed. Dude, it was just diet fail after diet fail after diet fail after diet fail. So, and I mean,
I- I-
even after surgery, like I mean, I would still say like you could still regain. And that's what I was kind of
yeah.
mentioning at the beginning. Like it's so easy to regain if you don't get that healthy relationship. So
Wow.
yeah,
So I want you to kind of consider this quote and how it relates to your journey. Okay. So one of the quotes I wrote down for you is, if you had never stopped doing what you did at the beginning, there would never be an end.
wow, yeah, yeah, that's true. Wow. I mean,
So what
yeah,
is,
man.
thinking about that, what is, I guess, does that mean to you in terms of like your journey as a whole? Like you said, you had been struggling with this from
hmm
the age of 5 years old, like starting, stopping, starting, stopping.
Yeah.
So what, how do you feel, I guess, that can relate to your journey? And then like, what would you say in terms of like anybody that's listening right now, how can we relate that to them in terms of like the things that you went through and the things
hmm
that you can maybe try and save somebody else from going through?
It, say the quote one more time for me because I want to make sure I'm hitting all points
Yeah,
of it.
for sure. So if you had never stopped doing what you did at the beginning, there would
hmm
never be an end.
Yeah. Okay. So uh, that's, I mean, spot on. The way I word that is nothing changes if nothing changes. So,
I love that.
I mean, and it is true. Like you want to see your life better, but you stay in the old mindset of like, well, I want to, but I still got to hold on to this, and then you cling back onto the old thing. I
Hmm.
mean, it's really about I don't want to say like killing yourself, but it's like killing yourself. It's writing that
Hmm.
old person off and saying, I'm never going to go back. I won't go back. I refuse to go back. Um,
Yeah,
now that may look different for a lot of people. Their going back may look different than my going back. You may have different trigger things that's going to look a lot different than per se me.
for sure.
But it's finding that balance, that healthy balance, and realizing that you've got to literally 100% turn around, because if you continue going the route that you're going, nothing changes. So that's why I say nothing changes unless something changes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's the way it applies for all aspects of life.
So
Hopefully
I
that
know I
answered
know
it.
you're doing a lot in the no, I like it. I know you're doing a lot in like the bariatric community, and you're very involved there. And so, with this is something that I think, whenever I heard him say this, I like immediately wrote it down. And I took it to all of my clients inside of my coaching business. But so I don't know if you ever heard of Jared Hamilton. He's got a pretty big podcast called
Um,
Dieting from the Inside Out.
I believe so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, he actually was the guest right before you, if the
Okay.
schedule kind of plays out. So
Nice,
he
nice.
talked about it on his episode a little bit, but he's got this idea that I think is one of the most genius things I've ever
Hmm.
heard called the coma letter. Okay, and I think this is
Okay.
even more impactful for like
I'll write that
people
down.
that are they're going through the same journey that you. Yeah, write it down if you want. But it's called the coma letter. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so the idea is that he's really big on his inside of his coaching business, which he's got a very large one.
That's
He's
awesome.
really big on the identity shift because he has seen it so many times being a personal trainer for so long and then now being an
Yeah.
online coach of helping people lose all this weight and then they graduate or whatever and then they come back 6 months later and they've put it all back on, and it's because like they were able to follow something and execute but they weren't able to understand and align with this new version of themselves. And so he's thinking like just telling somebody to adopt a new identity doesn't work. Like you can't it's people are like, okay, that sounds great, but how?
Yeah.
And so he's got this idea on how to do that, and I think it's
Let's
even more
write it down.
powerful coming from surgery. Okay, so
Yeah.
he basically says, imagine that you're going to have this surgery. It's like a brain surgery. Okay, you need it to survive, but the doctor sits you down before the surgery and he tells you like, hey, you're gonna make it out of this, right? But there's about a 50-50 chance that I'm gonna hit the reset button when I'm in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh wow.
so what I need you to do is I need you to write down like a letter to yourself in case I do hit that button. I need you to write
Yeah.
down a letter to yourself of who you are so that you can tell you who you are whenever you wake up and we're not having to try and
Oh,
explain it to yourself. And so he's like,
I
I
like
want you
that.
to write that. He makes all of his clients write that. And
Yeah.
so he's like, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm writing down a letter to myself in case my memory's wiped, I'm writing down I've got the best relationship with my wife on that I could
Yeah.
possibly have, right? Like
That's so smart.
I'm shredded. I've got abs. Maybe I'm just having a bad week, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a billionaire, but the bank account I just recently like spent a bunch of money on
Yeah.
charity, right? But you
There you
make
go.
like X amount per month. Like, he's like, I would be gassing myself up left and
Yeah.
right, like talking about that dream version of myself that I actually want to be, but I'm not
Hmm.
there yet.
I love
And
that.
so I think, especially with the whole premise, like maybe that's even something that you can pass on to, because it sounds like a lot of people are reaching out to you that are having the same surgery, like the sleeve surgery or like a gastric bypass type thing. And so, um, how powerful would that be, right? That they write
That's
that
so
letter
good.
to themselves before surgery, and then they wake up and get to just step into that new version of
Yeah.
themselves. But
That's so
I don't
awesome,
know.
man. I love the name of it. The like the coma letter. It's so I'm currently in the process of launching my business, and like that's one thing that's like they tell you, and it's part of my thing, and it's is oh my word, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of right now. It'll call me back, but basically what it tells you, like what I did when I first like started the process of launching my business was I wrote a sheet of paper and I've got it on my PC, but it's like I put the old me and the new me. It's like the old me was
Yeah.
this 500-pound Dalton, new me's 220-pound Rip Dalton. Old me was
Hmm.
addicted to food, new me's addicted to working out, and it's like you start splitting it, and it's like it's so true. You literally it's an identity shift, it's a rebranding, but I'd kind of just say it kind of a little more brutal. You kind of have to kill the old version.
Yeah.
Because if he starts creeping back and he starts coming back alive, man, what's going to happen? You're going to start
You
falling
got to hit
right
him with
back
the
into those
shovel again.
tendencies. Yeah, yeah. Turn around and whop.
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
love that. But I love the way I've never thought to just pitch that to my clients, though. I've always just did it. That was a way that to overcome. I keep thinking of the word and it disappears every time. Um, it'll come to
Yeah.
me in a minute. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Whenever you
it's a
think
way
of
to
it.
overcome that. So, but it's a way to identify yourself and come up with a new identity. But yeah, that's so smart, and I think it's so vital on weight loss journeys. But I've just never actually had someone write it down like that. So I may have to try some of that
Hey,
for
yeah,
coaching
for
for
sure,
sure.
for
So
sure. He, yeah, he shared it again on the podcast, and I
that's
even asked him, I
awesome.
was like, "Are you cool with sharing that?" Because I don't know if that's like part of your like
Yeah.
proprietary like practices here, where you don't want to share that with people outside your coaching business. And he's like, "No, dude, whoever can help." So I'm taking
That's
that and I'm
so
running with
awesome.
it. I'm,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
definitely
start
look him
using
up
that
after
myself.
this. So that's awesome.
Exactly. Okay, so You said you lost your first 220 pounds without even really stepping foot in the gym. Then you start to step foot in the gym, and so you're already down 220 pounds. You lost up to, you said 300 pounds or a little over that.
Yeah, a little over about 330 technically was my total amount. So,
Got it.
but yeah, now I'm about 300-ish is where I stay.
Gotcha. That's crazy. So with you losing that first 220 and then you're hopping in the gym, right, and you're working out, I know that you worked with some coaches and everything. Talk about the decision coming from less than 2 years ago, being over 500 pounds, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do a bodybuilding show.
Yeah. So for me, I never thought that like that was even in my wildest dreams. Like I never enjoyed working out. I never thought it would be something that I wanted to do. But yeah, I watched Rob Motivation. I know you've seen him probably when
Yeah.
he's competed before. I watched him, and he was the first person I'd really paid attention to compete after surgery. And I was like, we were starting to become good, close friends. And he's like, dude, this has been a crazy journey. Like, it's eye opening. Like, and I'm seeing his ups and his downs through him like prepping for it. And I'm like, huh, maybe that would be cool. And I had just finished doing 75 hard. Like that's I think what really helped me kind of start and lock in with working out so much is I made up to day 33. I failed. My phone fell behind my bed, and I slept through like my last like two alarms for the day. And again, I want to always be transparent with social media and like who I am as a person. So I'm not gonna bullshit my way through it. If I fail, I fail. I want to own up to it.
Yeah.
So as soon as I did it, I posted. I was like, I fail, and I started again. And I made it like day 6, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like I understand the mental side of it now, and that's what 75 hard is for. It's not for the physical side. I don't give a shit who says it is. It's all about mental toughness. That's what the whole point of it is, sticking to it.
Yeah.
So doing that, I failed. I tried it for another 6 days, and I was like, I want to do this different. And I think that's when it was like, I want to do this. That's when I was like, okay. And that's when I started working out twice a day, doing the core and cardio in the morning, and then weight training. And dude, it was life changing from there. So I was answering something, and my mind went another way.
You're completely good. What made you, I guess, even after failing 75 hard a couple times, be like, you know what, I'm gonna
Oh,
go step on
that's
stage,
it.
get super tan, and pose for people.
Yeah, so that's it. So with Rob, I was talking with Rob just about workouts because it was something new. And he's like, "Man, I got an amazing coach. Like, you should try signing up one day." And so he competed in October, and I'm pretty sure October 30th is when I started talking with Brady, and I was like, "Hey,
Yep.
I want to try this." So I signed with Brady, and he started coaching me. I think from like October all the way until the show. And I ended up losing like another, oh man, 70 or 80 pounds like throughout the whole process. Like, so I got down to 190 for stage weight, and I never in my wildest dreams would have thought like this is where I wanted to be. But man, when I tell you, like, it hit me. It hit me not when I got in Houston, not when I started doing the tanning, not when it only hit me as I got behind stage, and it was like, holy shit. Like, I mean, I've got pictures. I'd never really shared it. I don't know why, but man, just tears constantly. Like they're running around like madmen trying to find tissues back there. But yeah, it was such in a rush of emotions. But it was like behind stage, I fell in love with it. I was like, this is crazy. Like all that work was worth it. You don't. It doesn't matter if you step on stage now. Who gives a shit? But you did it. You have proved your mental toughness. You started in October, and you went to April on this prep, and you have killed it. And like it was like a self awareness. Like yes, I am finally proud of myself for accomplishing and putting my mind to something. And
Yeah.
like I don't know, it was like a self achievement. And at that point, I was just in love with working out, man. It was so much fun. Like and now it's like my therapy. So at that point, it was like, okay, what's next after summer shredding? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how I ended up getting there, man. I never would have dreamed it. So, but yeah, the coaching helped me get there. Brady was a great coach. Didn't have a clue what the hell I was doing at the time. Didn't know what macros were. I just had kind of put myself in a caloric deficit for the first 2 years, and I knew what that was, but I didn't know all the other stuff. And so
Hmm.
thank God I had a coach. That's what really helped me, hone in and like figure the rest of the 80, 90 pounds that I needed to lose. So,
It's so awesome, and I know. So Brady and I have an episode scheduled for later this month. So
oh,
that's
nice. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of a cool full circle thing there too.
Yeah, man.
Um, but yeah, and so then you talk about you stepping on stage, talk about the award ceremony. How did all
Yeah.
that feel?
So I tell you, it was such a blur. So my grandparents, none of my mom and dad, my family couldn't make it out.
Hmm.
But I did have like some extended family there from my grandmother's side. And Aunt Jamie, Uncle Ronnie, they were there. So it was really cool. But I went on stage and like honestly, man, I didn't think I was gonna win. I didn't like. I know that sounds so bad, but like you're supposed to have this winning mindset. But like I'd already
Yeah.
won. Honestly I didn't give a fuck if I won the competition or not. Like yeah, it'd be cool. Like yeah, but like I won. Like I had never felt so good or so confident or anything in my entire life. Like I found a whole new me and then like another me that didn't even know was in me. Like the tenacious Dalton that just ready to fucking go no matter what was in there, and I'd finally unlocked
Hmm.
that through this process. So I'd won, you know. So at that
Yeah.
point, man, I got up on stage and I'll never forget. They opened the curtain and you peek through, and this dude, I remember, is like holy, like blinders went on. I didn't remember how to pose. I didn't remember the routine that me and Brady worked on for 6 months. Dude, I couldn't tell you where I was at, when I was at, nothing. I was gone. I
Yeah.
remember, and yeah, I've got the video. I've never posted the full thing because it was so funny, man. Because I got up there, I went to do a front side pose, and like, as I came around, I don't know, my brain was just like, nope, not today. And I was like, it just, I looked like a flopping chicken up there. It was so bad. But
Hmm.
um, as soon as I got out, like my first pose, I kind of like I gained composure again. I was like, okay, we're having fun. Who gives a shit? So like, man, I posed as hard as I could, and like I started crying. Like first, it was just a bunch of tears, man. The whole through it was like
Yeah.
so emotional. But hearing people cheer you on is crazy. It was so crazy. I'd never heard it like that in my life, and like then from there, like you pose, you finish, you go off stage, and then you gotta wait. So then they bring you to the side, and I'm sitting there, dude. I'm shaking so bad, I'm like can't compose myself. Like I'm ready to, did I make it? Did I not make it? And they play the first video, and I didn't make it, and the second video, and then the third video, and I'm like, oh man, like and then I hear, the sound of my video starting. I was like, holy shit, but I'm trying to remain calm. Like, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm walking to the back. And so when you walk to the back, after your video ends, it's a 2-minute video, then you have to pose again. So posed again. And it was like just a quick, I did kind of like the same thing. And then from there, it just, dude, yeah, pure emotions. I walked
Yeah.
off the stage. I've got a camera in my face, and then they brought everybody up, and like, I heard them say, "All right," and this is third place, and then I had a friend that was competing, and honestly, man, I just thought they were gonna get dude swole. I mean, shredded, peeled. I'm like, oh, he's obviously gonna win, and
Yeah.
so I'm in my head, I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, I'm just happy, I'm posing, and all of a sudden he gets called second, and like and I okay, and I'm wondering like who the fuck, and then they said my name, and I was like, no, no fucking way, this is not
Yeah.
real. And about that time, and like all the guys, were and yeah, Kristen came over, shook my hand, handed me the trophy, and we got to chat for a minute behind stage, and man, it was just so emotional. I have never been like as a person, how you shouldn't be so proud of yourself, I guess, because it comes off as arrogant or cocky, but man, that was the
Yeah.
first time in my life that I was like, wow, I Dalton am proud of Dalton, and it was very cool. It was one of the best moments of my life, and the whole prep I said I would never do a bodybuilding show again, and like literally 5 days later I was like, all right, when are we doing the next one?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's hopefully soon. Hopefully I can get back on that. We were supposed to do one in 2023, but unfortunately I didn't get to, just with some family things that happened. I hit and prepped and got like 8 weeks out and then had to fall off. So
I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, not the
Um,
fun part, but it happens.
no, for sure. For sure.
So,
I'm super sorry about all that, by the way.
oh
Um,
man, it's all good, man. It's all part of life, but we're making it. We're
yeah.
making it. So,
Good. Good. But I think the sentence that you said is so powerful. Like you Dalton are finally so proud of Dalton. Like that is,
yeah.
I think that's kind of everybody's goal, right? Is to be able to really look themselves in the mirror, right, and be
Yeah.
like, I'm proud of you. And I think
Mhm.
that's something a lot of probably, especially the listeners that are listening to this podcast, feel. And really just all of us as human beings, but especially
Yeah.
people that are looking for more in life, right? People that are looking like whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're into fitness, whether you're
Yeah, man.
a trainer or a coach or any of these other things, like we're so hard on ourselves just in general,
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
it ends up being like a I went on a breathwork journey not too long ago where they made us, like, one of the prompts was they made us like picture our I think it was like our 10-year-old self,
Hmm.
and then like from the perspective of our 10-year-old self, like tell our, whatever age you are now self that you're proud of that
Yeah.
person. And I never really even, like, I'd never done breath work before. I've never done like
Yeah.
therapy, right? Like I want to start therapy because I think it's
Yeah.
important, but um I didn't even know like those feelings were there for me, but I just completely lost it. Like I
Yeah.
just lost all control of my emotions. I was bawling my eyes out, and I was the guy that
Yeah,
also
man.
went into the breathwork journey saying like this is some rah shit. Like I'm not gonna this is not gonna get
Yeah.
me, like I'm too tough for this.
And
And
then it got
so I
you.
did it. Yeah, I did it, and I
That's
just
awesome, man.
lost it, and I cried and cried and cried, and but I realized like that's a big part of just the underlying kind of like thing that's inside of me is not really being proud of me,
Yeah.
and not really being super, I guess, reflecting on like what my goals were, now where I'm at, right? Which, if I'm being honest, I'm probably a little bit further than where I thought, I wanted my goals to be. But
Feel
every
that. Yeah.
time, just like with your weight loss journey, I'm sure you noticed it too. Every time you get close to that, the threshold moves a little bit further. So
It
you're like, I'm
does.
almost here. Like this is, I can actually achieve this now. So why don't we go ahead and push it instead of actually hitting the
Keep
goal and
going.
celebrating?
Yeah,
I'm
man.
gonna push it a little bit further, push
That's
a
the
little bit further,
truth.
push a little bit further, and then you're like it's the alpha elite mindset, right? Like
Yeah.
the crowd but never satisfied, but it can be super
Yeah, man.
detrimental to people.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. It
what does that look
definitely can
like
be
for you?
detrimental. For me, I'm a perfectionist, and like I will sit
Yeah.
on something for 6 or 8 months if I'm not proud of it. So for me, honestly, man, I think this podcast was the first time I think I've actually like said that like out loud, like
Hmm.
I was, like
Wow.
physically confirming it. But yeah, man, it's important for that, to be proud of yourself. And I think like if you're not gonna be proud of yourself, how do you want other people to be proud of yourself? But also, it's true. Like for me, I'm a perfectionist, and it's like I'll hit like a certain goal, and it's like, yeah, this is my goal, but I'm not happy there. I got to keep going. And
Yeah.
which to a T, I think it's good. I think it's always good to have goals, but I think it's also good to celebrate those small wins. And a lot of people beat themselves up instead of celebrating that. I am preaching to myself right now, man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
As I'm saying
Same.
it out loud. I was talking to my girlfriend recently. It's just like I'm such a perfectionist. Like I've been working on a logo for 6 months with people, and it's like I refuse to put this on my name unless it's exactly what I want. I don't
Yeah.
even know what I want, but it's in there. We'll see. But so like it's little things like that. Just acting on it. But yeah, it's always good to have the new goals, man. It's just you have to take time to realize that you did hit the small goal and to celebrate that win. For
Yeah.
me, it was like I had to celebrate the small wins in weight loss to help me keep going for the bigger wins. Like sure, and I hate when I get a message and it's like, oh man, I've only lost like 50 pounds. That's nothing compared to your pounds. Bullshit. That's
Most
fucking
people never lose
incredible. Let's
50 pounds.
go. Like, and I hate when someone compares a journey to someone else's. It's like, yo, it's a pound versus pound. Like 300 pounds or 1 pound, it took the same amount of time to lose that 1 pound, like,
Hmm.
so I don't know. That's how I view it. But yeah, I definitely think the small goals are good. It's just you have to have a healthy relationship and know when to give yourself the proper accolades.
For sure. Well, I want to kind of on the stage that weekend, right? Like I was right outside those doors,
Yeah,
selling you Bora gear, right? That's where
yeah.
we kind of like met and talked,
Yeah.
and I remember thinking how cool, like your, I guess, story was, and how just like badass you looked,
Oh
honestly,
man,
dude.
thank
With
you.
just giving you your flowers, with like
I appreciate that.
pulling the loose skin to show like the most shredded six pack that you've ever seen, like,
Yeah.
and like you always would just pull it to the side and then just like show that off, and you had just
Yeah.
crazy veins going down everything. Like it was like it was a freaking extra trophy that you were carrying around of like
Yeah, yeah,
this was me, and then now
yeah.
look at this shit. Like that was so cool to me, and I think probably
That's
all of your
awesome.
emotions
Thank you.
from that weekend and how excited you were. I remember being at Alpha Lane the next day and you're running around, like you're taking pictures of everybody, you're doing
Yeah,
photo
man.
shoots, like
It was
you're
crazy.
yeah, and it was so cool to me. But I also think that I think your social media had kind of started to take off before that, but I think that was kind of the
Mm.
tipping point where everyone's like,
Oh yeah.
okay, this dude's really doing something different here. Like, I need to
Yeah.
hop on that train. And so now you have amassed this just huge following on social media,
Yeah.
being almost at 1 million on
Almost.
TikTok,
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
and 161,000 on Instagram. So
Yeah.
what has that looked like for you, going
Yeah.
from where you started, right, to
Yeah.
now over 1 million people across these platforms following your journey?
Well, first of all, speechless, man. I never would have dreamed that would happen. Personally, I didn't start the transparency of my journey for that. I just started to honestly keep myself accountable. Like, and you could see kind of the transition when I started realizing, like, maybe I can help other people with this and tell my story a different way. And so,
Yeah.
excuse me, I'm sorry.
All good.
Um, for me, I started with pictures, and I started with a side by side every day, and it was like, okay, 1% better every single day, and that's what I got to keep doing. And so like I would take a photo in the mirror, whether I'd wake up and it was my bathroom, whether it was at work or wherever it was at, I would try to take a photo or just a selfie, like, and that's how I kept doing it. It was like, okay, and I like for the first probably month, man, I think like every day I made a post. It's like, all right, I'm another pound down. I'm another 3 pounds down. Like, and I know people had to get annoyed with it, but it's what locked me in. And
Yeah.
then from there, after losing that weight and started working out and making videos, like I'd never made a video once ever until I downloaded TikTok as a joke with my friends because I played Call of Duty and I could do a Carl Weezer impression. That was it, man.
Yeah.
Like, and so I got, like I said, I used to smoke. I'd play Call of Duty and talk in my Carl Weezer impression, and that's what my first videos were.
Hmm.
And then one day I was like, my friends. The story with how I posted was I got pissed off at my friends. I was at the gym at like I don't know, 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I had my water bottle and my iPhone, and I set it up on a bench outside the gym. And Heavy to Modified, he's a friend of mine now, Anthony. He had posted a video working out with his shirt off, and like I'd always been, dude, so self conscious. And I was like, no one's here. It's 9 o'clock. I'm outside. Why not? And so I was like, let's just see what it looks like. I don't even know what my skin looks like jiggling up and
Hmm.
down or working out. So I took my shirt off and I grabbed they had a tire and a hammer and I started beating the tire with a hammer and um like I mean it was just like it was cardio but it was just releasing a lot of just frustration but it was fun too, man. I was like and it felt good, like I'd be exhausted. So I just put my music in and I set my phone up and man I just started hitting the shit out of a tire and um I posted it to a song. It was like I had the clip. I didn't even do anything with it. And then I had it. And it was Saturday. I was back at the gym again. And I ended up posting it before I walked into the gym. It was like probably Friday or no Saturday evening. I think around like 5, 6 o'clock. Walked into the gym. I posted it as I was walking in. And I was like, whatever, fuck it.
Yep.
See how this does, dude. It was insane. I'd never seen anything like it. I remember like I had notifications off, but like I came back out to my truck after like 2 hours, and dude, I want to say it was like 50 or 60,000 views, and I'm just like,
Wow.
this is what is happening. And dude, from that point on, like within a day, it was like over 1 million, and then like yeah, it just kept happening. Everybody's like, yo, we're proud of you, and then like ESPN and like House of Highlights and like my local channel news reached out to me, and it was just like, what the fuck is happening? This is so cool. Like I love
That
it,
is,
but like
I didn't know
it's
that at all.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
wild.
So that's how it started. But then like so I just started making workout videos and like so then as I got to summer shredding, I all dude, I'll never forget it. I think at the because it all happened in a 3 day period. Like I mean, just a spike. And that's why I say it only ever takes one video to take off, man. That's literally all it takes. But I was at Alpha Land, and it was my first day there. Brady had just left, and I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's on Brady's team as a trainer now. Oh my gosh.
Nate.
Nate.
Yep.
It's the first time meeting Nate in person, and so he was there with his girlfriend or fiance, I can't remember at the time, but um, we're sitting there, and he's like, "I'm about to leave, man," and we're just hitting arms. He's like, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll probably leave in a minute. I'm just gonna hit a few more," and so he's like putting his weight up. He's over to the left, and like I set my weights down, and I was just like kind of playing with my skin in the mirror, like finally, like okay, this is my first time in Alpha Lane with my shirt off, like and so I had my shirt off right there, and he's like, "Hey Dalton, strike a pose," and I was like, And all I did was I just went just like that and pulled.
Hmm.
Well, that night there was a song on or a sound bit, and it was Rick and Morty, and it was like one of the things like, hey Rick, drop a beat or something like that. And so I just timed it. It was like, hey Dalton, strike a pose, and I did it to the song. Dude, it was, I'm not even kidding. I'm a very numbers driven person, so like when I see
Yeah.
like a time, I remember it. It was 12:18 p.m. in Houston. I just got back to the an Airbnb with some
Sounds like a
friends.
Drake song.
It really does. Yeah, man. It was like a Drake song. It felt real, man. I remember I posted it and I got in the shower because I was like getting ready for the next day. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna sleep on the couch right here in this Airbnb. And like I remember waking the whole house up. I was like, yo, what the fuck is happening? Like, took my shower, come out, dude, and it was at like 500,000 views that fast. And I was like, dude, I woke up and it was over a million. Like by the time I got to Alpha Lane, it was at 2 million. Like insane. And this is all happening within like 24 hours. So I'm thinking to myself like, this can't be real. Like, I'm pinching myself. Like,
Yeah.
but so I was like, okay, well let's share it on Instagram. So at the same time, I shared it on Instagram. I shared it on TikTok, and man, all it took was one video to go like crazy viral. I think it got like 60 or 70 million views on each platform, and it was just like a
Wow.
6-second clip. But yeah, at the same time, summer shredding happened, and like, so I'm on stage. Everything is just, it was such a just rush of a pure emotion. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's allowed me now to share it, and it's become a huge part of me. It's allowed me to kind of change what I want to do in life. I was stuck in a 9 to 5 for the last 11 years. Had some shit happen this year that, I was planning to set up my safety net for a little while and work there and
Yeah.
do this, but it's either sink or swim. So now we're doing the damn thing. But yeah, it's been
Yeah.
the best thing ever. And so now I do social media, and I never would have thought 500 pound Dalton would have a voice as someone that just wanted to be the normal guy all his life and like not stick out and not have eyes on him. Now it's just like it's been a complete change, and
Yeah. And now you're a
it's crazy.
sponsored athlete for some of the biggest brands in the space.
Never would have dreamed it, man. Never would have in my wildest imagination. But yeah, it's been life changing for sure.
That's so insane. Here, one second.
No, you're good.
There we go. Yeah, it's absurd, quite honestly, man. Like it is the coolest. It's the coolest, right?
Thank you, man. I
And
appreciate that.
I I want you to make sure that you do acknowledge kind of like how far you've come because it is like from the outside looking in, man, it is such an inspiring story. It's
Thank you.
what's always kind of like drawn me to you to like try
I
and
appreciate that.
catch up whenever we're in the same
Yeah,
spot,
yeah.
right? Or try and get you some Eubora gear if you need anything to even work out in. I
I
don't even
do.
need you to post anything about it, dude. Just like I want to be able to make sure
I
that
appreciate
you're
that.
equipped to do whatever you want to do in life because
Yeah.
it is super super cool and super
Thank you, man.
inspiring.
I
I
appreciate
have
that.
another quote I kind of want to throw in
Okay.
along the same lines of what we're talking about, but I want to hear your reaction to it. So,
Okay.
there are no options, only trade offs. If you've got something you want, you're going to have to give up something you had.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the absolute truth. And I'm walking through that right now, man. Goosebumps on that one too. Thank you.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah, I mean it's true. I want wanted to get away from my job since I've worked there since I was 19 years old. And I'm just correlating away from fitness for a second. I wanted to get away from a job since I was 19. I started working there since I was 19, and I worked my way up for almost 11 and a half years, making great money, and I had to change and take a chance. And so I spoke up, spoke out, and now I'm doing what I love.
Yeah,
It's allowed me to, yeah, yeah, not gonna lie, is it stressful as shit right now? Am I, worried a little bit? Yeah, but I think that's all comes when you're starting out and you're building a business, and it's allowing me to pursue my dreams by taking a chance. And so now, man, like I've got some crazy things in the work. Like, I started my coaching business again, like just me, no other coaching, no other businesses, no other platforms trying to help me out,
yeah.
or companies. It's me
There's
this
a lot of
time. So
those.
now it is, and I got into that. I failed with it, and I didn't like it. I realized what it was and got out very very quick. And but I got locked in
Good.
a contract for a year, so I couldn't take on any clients. I couldn't do anything since March of 2023. So as
Wow.
of November, that's when I was like, my clause ended, and I'm like, okay, let's. So it's allowing me, and then it seems like everything happens for a reason. But something had to change in order for me to go towards my goals, and I guess that's what it is. So now we're starting a business. I just got 2 more shirt designs finally sent to me. I'm going to be doing that. Like I don't mind talking about that as well, but yeah, man, I'm really excited to start doing it. But in order for me to push and achieve those, I had to lose something, and
Yeah,
I lost. I lose my career in kind of, yeah, kind of did, but I'm starting over, and it's the best thing that's ever happened.
that's so insane. So talk a little bit about the business. Give people
Yeah.
what's next for you.
Yeah, perfect. So for me, man, what's next? Well, I'm doing my coaching business finally. I finally got that off the ground. Like I didn't want to go with other organizations to do all the back work, so I've done the back work. But
Mhm.
that's what's kind of taken me the last month and a half. Thank God I had enough nest egg to put myself up for the past like month and a half and start trying to
Yeah.
make this a profitable business. But right now, man, we're getting our feet wet. It's been great. And then the other thing I have, and I don't mind talking about it now that I finally got the LLC and everything locked down, is my last name is Musselwhite.
Hmm.
My Instagram is Musselwhite with no vowels. That's all it is. And so the
Yep.
first part is muscle. So I got a shirt, or I've got the LLC for Muscle LLC.
Hmm.
And so basically, I want to create a brand that is not bullshit size inclusive, actual size inclusive.
Hmm.
So I've been working with a few distributors trying to find the one that's going to lock in and help me get a quality weighted shirt for up to 6X. That was my biggest issue. Like when I first started in the gym, and one reason I really didn't want to is I couldn't fit in clothes like this. And nothing against Young LA, I love you guys, thank you, but y'all, they don't make 2XL or actual 2XL.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
an extra large. I can fit in a 2XL, and I'm 225 pounds right now. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's something I'm super passionate about, and I noticed that like I've had probably 10, 15 guys message me, and they're just like, man, I can't fit in the clothes. Like I want to help you, but I can't even fit in them. So it's like, damn, I remember that. I remember having to special order 8XL T-shirts offline because and they wouldn't fit. So that has been my driving factor, finding somebody, but also giving the people that don't have a voice in the fitness community a voice, man. Like
Wow.
just because we don't look, like a 6'2" chiseled, David Lade doesn't mean that we're not taking our fitness serious. And I,
Yeah, it doesn't
that's
mean you're not
such
on
a
a journey.
yeah, man. Everybody starts somewhere. And all it takes is the first step. But a lot of people, they feel like they're gonna be judged or based off that. And what happens, then they're like, oh well, I see everybody in the cool clothes and all that, and they want to be able to wear stuff like that, and they can't. So, my goal is to create it. So I've got a few designs, man. I'm so excited to launch it. It's gonna be affordable. It's not some crazy shit. But yeah, I'm hoping that it takes off, and that's going to be one of the things that we're working for 2024-ish, 2023. But we couldn't get the distributor down. We just got the designs after like 6 months. So,
Wow.
yeah, man, I'm really excited. Kind of a personal story about it. I haven't really posted it, but so I have a tattoo on my wrist that my tattoo artist did when I was 15. No, 15. When I
Okay.
was 500 pounds. Excuse me. But we're still friends to this day, and so I reached out to him and I was back in June. I was like, dude, would you ever be willing to do a shirt design with me for that? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. 100%. Like, so
That's
he's
so
been
cool.
working. Yeah. So my tattoo artist that I got when I was 15, he's one of like the best in the area. Like, dude, he's booked up for like a year and a half straight. And so he took time to like, that's why it's been a little delay, but so it's a hand drawn shirt design, hand drawn everything. And when I say, dude, as soon as he sent it to me, I was like getting teary eyed. I was like, this is what I was looking for. This is not the stupid designs everybody's doing. Like this is it. So, but yeah, I just want to be able to give that voice to somebody that's in the middle of their journey that hasn't already got to the end of their journey, and now they're like, all right, well, now I can fit it. Well, yeah, cool, but what about the people that's just starting? So that's where I hope to be able to give them a voice as well. But yeah,
That's so cool. That's awesome. I think that's an extremely noble kind of like undertaking. And I also think that it's going to inspire a lot of people
I hope
because
so.
it now gives them something to wear as like that badge of honor of like I'm working
Yeah,
on me, right? Like I want to
exactly.
align with like one of these big brands. I want to align with, where I see everybody getting to, but like my step 1 is not the same as somebody's step 50 out there,
Exactly,
right?
man.
Like
That's
what
the
you're talking about
truth.
earlier.
Yeah,
So,
everybody's first step looks a lot different.
a lot
so,
different for sure, for
so
sure.
yeah,
And then we can talk kind of off camera as well with
yeah.
anything that I can help out on the coaching side, dude, we've got
Yeah.
a huge base of coaches and everything that we work with.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's
Okay.
I'm happy to help with anything I can
I'll be
there,
picking
just
your brain there.
logistically. For sure,
For
bro.
sure, for sure, man. That'd be
Um,
awesome. Yeah.
so I know I've taken up a bunch of your time. I want to ask you one final question, okay?
Okay.
What are you, Dalton Musselwhite, going to accomplish by any means necessary?
Um, yeah. I would say being happy. And I know that's the hardest thing. I think at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants to do is be happy.
Yeah,
My goal for the longest time in life was to be happy, and I didn't know what happiness was. I'm still struggling to find what happiness is, but I know that if I can get the physical aspect, now I just got to work on the the mental side of being happy. So being happy with where I'm at is one thing that I'm trying to accomplish, but yeah, I know. Like I should have had a better answer for this question, and I feel like
no, yeah,
I could have definitely knocked it out of the park, but I don't know. That's what I really want to accomplish by any means necessary. I know, everybody's got a goal of like, I want to drive a Lambo by 30, or I want to
yeah,
have
yeah,
a big house, but like, no, man. Like I just want to be happy and confident and comfortable and help others. And that's I want to help those that don't that think it's too late. That's
yeah.
like me. That was having a doctor stare them down. It's like, hey, you're gonna die, or you should have been dead. Like, um, that's what I hope to accomplish. I hope to help people. I hope to be happy in doing it, and I hope to be fulfilled. That's kind of where I'm at.
I love it, man. Yeah, it's I've talked to a bunch of high achievers up to this point, and the most common one has kind of been like you know, I'm gonna accomplish being the best version of me,
Yeah,
and I think that also ties back to the quote that we talked about of kind of always getting close to that point, right, and then never really. So I think like
yeah,
just innately, high achievers like yourself, and all the people that I've talked about, like that's kind of it's almost like that craving for like hitting a point where you do feel like completely holy and
yeah,
like you're completely like good in your current spot.
yeah.
And I think we all kind of like crave that, right? So
100%.
I
It's
I
it's
have
so
no
true.
doubts that your brand is going to be huge. I have
Thank you.
no doubts that your coaching company is going to be huge, man.
Appreciate
And
that, man.
and
Thank you.
whenever you set your mind to something, if you haven't figured it out by now, like you achieve it, right? So just
That's what we're hoping. That's
the
where I gotta lock
entrepreneur
in.
life
So
is yeah, the entrepreneur life is very much like the fitness world, right?
yeah,
Where it's like it is a grind. It never stops, right? There's
yeah.
no more clock in, clock out, right? Like if some shit's
That's
got
what
to
I'm
be done
learning.
with the shirt design or shipping out an
Yeah,
order at midnight, like that's on you, buddy.
yeah, man.
So
That's the truth.
go
I was
ahead.
I was in bed the other night, man, and I got up to use the restroom, and literally like I'm waking my girlfriend up at 3:45 in the morning, and I'm like, babe, 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 what does this design look to you like? Yes, and she's like, she looks over, and she's like, are you fucking kidding? It's 3:45. Go to bed. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like I've got work to do. This is an hour. Like, what do you mean? This is the prime time. We got shit to do, But
Yeah, that's
so
gonna be
yeah,
the rest of your life now. So good luck with that, and
great.
make sure
Thank you.
make sure
Cheers to
she knows
that.
what. Yeah, make sure she knows what she signed up for, because that's
Yeah.
my. I've kind of learned now, like if I know I've got like a lot of work and stuff to do, I'll
Mhm.
kind of like go to sleep with Kinsey, and then
Yeah.
like she'll kind of like fall asleep, and then I'll get up and like go do some more work if I'm really excited about something, or I got a
Yeah.
deadline, or got to knock something out.
Exactly.
um and so then I'm not like compromising any of the time that I could have had with her, but I'm also not bothering her or
There
anything
you
with like
go.
getting up and doing my own thing. So
That's true, man.
dude,
That
I have
works though.
no doubt
Happy
that
life, happy wife, happy life, right? So
exactly, yeah, I'm learning that. I'm
there
definitely
you
learning
go.
that.
That's awesome, bro.
um
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, man. So I thank you so much for just taking the
Oh
time.
yeah.
I know you've been sick, so I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better, and I hope that recovery continues as well. But
Yeah,
it's been
man.
a blast, man, and I hope I can have you on here again soon.
Dude, yes. Thank you for having me. Seriously, it's been so much fun. I love chatting with you. So let's link for sure. And I'll definitely be picking your brain here on some coaching stuff as well, man. So I appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. All right, man. Talk soon.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening to this entire episode with Dalton. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I know that I got a ton out of just listening to his journey, because how he casually says stuff like losing 300 pounds, or, oh, I already lost 220 pounds, or just some of the stuff that came up. It was pretty cool to hear how almost like desensitized he is to the things that he's even doing and accomplishing. Even being almost 1 million followers on TikTok, like wild stuff, featured on ESPN, everything. You guys heard the episode, so I don't have to recap it all. But thank you guys so much for making it this far. Thank you so much for even just listening in the first place. This has been an awesome project for me to get to undertake and be a part of. So I really hope that you guys are enjoying it. If there's somebody that you would like to see as a guest, please feel free to reach out and message me on Instagram or comment on this episode if you got somebody that you'd like to see, and I'll be happy to reach out and try to set something up with them. Make sure you share the show if you got something out of it. Make sure you're subscribed or following the show, depending on where you're listening, and I will see you guys in the next one.